In case any of you missed the news, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been indefinitely delayed due to the immense backlash surrounding its business model and gameplay reveal earlier this year. I know, it's a huge bummer. Now, the game was initially going to come out the first half of the year, and it's been pushed back to an unspecified date in 2023, so the team can make some huge sweeping changes to the gameplay and the business model, allegedly. Now, recent insider reports have stated the game is unlikely to change all that much by the time it comes out, simply because of the fact that the things people are upset about are very deep-seated in the game's DNA, and you can't really change that without completely redoing the game as a whole, which isn't going to happen. So what does that mean for the Arkham franchise? Well, this video is not titled Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It's titled Batman Arkham Remastered. Welcome to the page, everybody. Chaos here, and today, well, we are going to go deeper on the Batman Arkham franchise, the leaks, the rumors, everything out there talking about what could happen with the Arkhamverse. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you stick around for the entire video. And really quick, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody supporting the new gaming news videos. I truly, truly appreciate it. I read all the comments. I try to heart and like as many as I can. So, with that being said, let's get into this. Now, Arkham franchise. This was supposed to be Rocksteady's big return to the spotlight, but it's starting to look like the Arkhamverse is once again going to fade into the darkness of the gaming industry, and I really don't want that to happen, because this franchise has potential in the modern era. So today, I'm going to go over the possibilities of the Arkhamverse after Suicide Squad, and what I think could actually be in the pipeline when it comes to the Batman Arkham series, with leaks, with insider source rumors, everything. That's assuming Warner Brothers decides to continue the franchise after Kill the Justice League, which I do think they will, despite how hard this game's probably going to fall to the ground. So, let's get into it. Before we dig any deeper, one of the big questions on everybody's mind recently is, how is Batman still alive in this timeline? Now, obviously, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is part of the Arkhamverse, but if you played Arkham Knight, spoiler alert, the dramatic ending where Wayne Manor explodes and both Bruce and Alfred are killed. But when you watch the Suicide Squad trailer, Batman is apparently alive and well. I mean, sure, he's being mind-controlled by Brainiac, but he's still in one piece. How is that possible? Well, there's actually a few possible explanations. Firstly, it's not 100% confirmed that Bruce died in Arkham Knight, because there's a brief moment in the final cutscene where a mugger is attacked by someone who looks like Batman, but it's never clearly shown. It implies Bruce's death could have been faked. Now, granted, that could be lazy writing. I know. It's also possible that this was one of Bruce's disciples taking up the mantle, because at the end of Arkham Knight, several other crime fighters like Robin and Nightwing are still alive and well. Another possibility is that Brainiac resurrected Batman right then and simply used his body like a puppet, which would be a pretty nightmarish and effective way to toy with the surviving members of the Justice League and strike fear into the citizens of Gotham, Metropolis, everywhere. There's a decent chance Rocksteady isn't going to give us a solid explanation as to how the ending of Arkham Knight ties into Suicide Squad, because they want the new game to essentially be a standalone story despite it being in the same universe as the Arkham games. So I wouldn't honestly be shocked at all if they never even acknowledge at the end of Arkham Knight what happened, and they leave the whole situation up to our imagination. Now, personally, I'm convinced the end of Arkham Knight was a trick to make sure Batman's true identity never made it out into the open, but Batman's influence over the city never faded either. At the end of the day, none of this really matters, since the Batman in Kill the Justice League is being controlled by Brainiac. It's just a weird jump in the story that I hope we get some explanation for. Now, before we move on, if you guys get anything from GFuel.com, if you're getting a restock, use code CHAOS. Link is at the top description, up to 30% off items on the website. If you've never tried G Fuel, now's the time. Use that code. You guys tweet at me if you do, so I can show you some love as well. Now, back to this. Aside from Suicide Squad, what's going on with Arkhamverse? Despite this being the most influential superhero video game franchise of all time, I don't say that lightly, Warner Brothers has seemingly been reluctant to do anything with it over the last decade, which is crazy. Arkham Knight, released in 2015. It wrapped up the Batman story, but then it was complete silence until Suicide Squad came along. And if you look at those comparisons, Arkham Knight 7 years ago with games today are like, like Gotham Knights. Arkham Knight was a beauty of a game. Believe it or not, the Suicide Squad game was actually announced in 2010 from Rocksteady, but that original version was canceled in 2016. The new version was announced in 2020. And it was subsequently delayed multiple times, like I said before, and still doesn't have a solid release date. So needless to say, this game is in trouble. So I guess you could say the lack of the Arkhamverse games over the last 8 years is due to Rocksteady having so many issues with Suicide Squad and Warner Brothers not wanting to hand development off to any other studio. But If this one flops, they might have to. Pretty sure WB is going to either pull the plug on the franchise or go in a completely different direction, perhaps kicking Rocksteady out of the equation. Now, I mentioned in a previous video, I think the best move for Warner Brothers and Rocksteady right now is to pump out that alleged leaked Batman Arkham remastered game, or remake of the originals. A while back, WB released a double remaster of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City called the Return to Arkham Collection. But with how many remakes have come out in the last few years, it's time to do it right. Full do-over. And frankly, is there anything else that could be done? I mean, Suicide Squad is almost certainly going to flop. And after that, I don't know how many people would actually be excited for a new Rocksteady Arkhamverse game. So why not hand the IP off to another studio, order a full remake of the first game, give us Batman Arkham Origins remastered as well, and you get back on track. I don't think a remaster is going to do the job in a way that a full remake would either. There have already been remasters. There have. The first two games, and Arkham Knight still looks really good, like I said earlier, by modern standards. I think the only way the Arkhamverse gets back on track is to replicate EA's Dead Space strategy. Remake the first game. Bring people back to the franchise. Get them hyped. Make some modern adjustments to the gameplay. Then assess where to go or where to go next, depending on how people receive it. I'm telling you right now, if you do it right, they're going to love it. Dead Space was completely dead after the third game, but after the critical acclaim of the remake earlier this year, I've played all the way through it. It's amazing. I can basically guarantee you that there is going to be a new Dead Space game announced in the future, be it a remake of Dead Space 2 or the long-awaited Dead Space 4, because they revived the franchise. If Warner Brothers wants to make sure the Arkhamverse is revived, the best way to do that at this point is to remake Arkham Asylum and go from there. Look at the Resident Evil remakes. I mean, come on. Suicide Squad is a lost cause, it seems. And even if it somehow makes it back and it makes its budget back and it's successful, there's no denying that is not the direction most fans want the series to go. Remake Arkham Asylum, let the fans vote with their wallets, give us some Arkham Origins love as well. So as for new games in the Arkhamverse, I really don't think there's much hope for anything after Suicide Squad. Warner Brothers has been hit with a number of failures over the last few years in the DC universe. It's not a good place right now. Games, movies, any of it. It was just a few months ago that Gotham Knights was one of the biggest AAA flops in recent memory. Now that Suicide Squad has been delayed due to fan backlash, I don't know. When it comes to DC video games that aren't called Injustice, I don't know. Now, granted, a third Injustice game has been rumored to be in development for a while now, but the market for fighting games and the market for single-player story-driven games, it's totally different from one another. So I don't think Injustice 3 is going to do much to revive the DC brand in gaming as a whole. If you get what I'm saying here, Warner Brothers needs a win, and it's in the single-player department, and we just gave them the roadmap of how they can do that. I mean, we did. Yeah, so we'll see. I think the only surefire way to get it back is to go to basics and then give us an Arkham Asylum remake. Just take the road that Resident Evil did, take the road that Dead Space did, and let's see where it goes. And then please, for the love of everything, give Arkham Origins some love as well. I mean, on the Marvel side, they're crushing it. Insomniac is just killing it. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2 coming, Wolverine. It's time. It's time to get the DC side going. I know Rocksteady can do it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you soon.